Good evening. It's 3 minutes to the top of the hour, and in just 27 hours, or just above 27 hours, the AstraZeneca, much-awaited AstraZeneca vaccine will be on Kenyan soil. And there's a lot of questions around how that will be rolled out and how we can expect the frontliners to start receiving that. And that's why we have in studio the PS for Health, Susan Mochache. Thank you for joining us this evening. She'll be answering all the questions, the technical questions about the rollout of this vaccine and how we can expect it to start and to even lead up to the Mwananchi finally, because that is certainly the hope. But we also have other stories that we can expect from political front and what have you. So this is NTV Tonight. Tonight, COVID-19 vaccines touch down in Kenya in under 30 hours. Will all frontliners willingly take the jab?
There will be people who will be hesitant to take the vaccine.
We have confidence in the vaccine because it's approved by WHO.
Healthcare workers claim government has kept them in the dark over the vaccination details. Plus, the increasing COVID-19 infections and deaths.
What we can hope is that this third wave will be a low peak. It will be a massive surge.
Kenya's third wave is on its way as politicians lead the way in waving off caution. Also tonight, the rumble in the Jubilee jungle, the polarized presidency.
Wengine ambao wanapinga BBI, yale wanazungumza unaona ni unafiki tu.
And a party apart, Caleb Kositanyi ejected as Jubilee Party's Deputy Secretary General. And they were sent home over fees arrears. But what happened next is staggering. Drunk students arrested.
NTV Tonight with Mark Masai.
I'm also with Flora Tieno, our sign language interpreter, backed by a full team. Thank you for joining us once again. And as mentioned, we are just about 27 hours away from the arrival of the COVID-19 vaccine in Kenya, as they are to touch down in Nairobi at midnight tomorrow into Wednesday. However, some healthcare workers who are among the priority recipients of the vaccine claim that there is inadequate mobilization and sensitization on the vaccines, and administration among them. NTV's health reporter, Eunice Omolo, reports on the much-awaited jab, whose administration may face some challenges such as resistance from some frontline workers, but we'll see more about that.
For Kenya, March 2020 is known for the announcement that coronavirus had landed in the country. A year on, the same month is said to be marked by the hope of a lifeline in the form of a vaccine that is to be administered to thousands of Kenyans. The priority recipients are frontline workers, namely healthcare workers, teachers and security officials.
The first line, people in contact with people who may be having COVID and especially severe COVID disease. Currently, as we speak, there are quite a number of patients with COVID complications in the various ICUs. And therefore, it is obvious that the people who need to be protected are those who are taking care of people with COVID disease, so to speak.
However, there are still concerns among the medics that not enough sensitization has been done among them.
What I want is to have the message go to health workers. We want to know, where will they be vaccinated? Are all healthcare facilities in Kenya, are they all vaccination centers? Are we going to have people moving around from a health facility to another one, vaccinating the nurses and other health workers? What is going to happen? We do not know how the vaccine is going to be dispensed. Is it going to be dispensed?
This even as they are expected to be key ambassadors in creating awareness on the COVID-19 vaccine.
All vaccines have been produced and have been approved by WHO and have been used over years. So as long as a vaccine has been approved by WHO, as health workers, we must be on the forefront to put confidence in that vaccine so that Wananchi cannot have any hesitation taking it when it comes to their time to take the vaccine. So we have confidence in the vaccine because it's approved by WHO.
Experts still insist that it's time for Kenyans to continue embracing and practicing prevention measures, as the AstraZeneca vaccine, whose administration is set to kick off, will not be a guarantee that the disease will be contained or that even those who receive the jabs are safe from the virus.
Yes, there are there will be people who will be hesitant to take the vaccine, and there are those who are very ready to actually go out and get the vaccine, having seen the danger that the COVID-19 itself causes.
The vaccine is exported into the country on Tuesday into Wednesday night. Eunice Omolo, NTV, Nairobi.
As we look forward to that, there has been a noticeable increase in the COVID-19 positivity rate in the country in the last few days. From the latest round of testing, I should say, 152 people tested positive for coronavirus from a sample size of 2,213. That's a positivity rate of 6.9%. Yesterday's was 9.9%, which is considerably high. The COVID-19 caseload in Kenya is now 106,125. Today, 3 more patients, unfortunately, succumbed to COVID-19, raising the death toll to 1,859. The total number of patients who have recovered from COVID-19 are 86,717 after 39 were declared COVID-19 free. Quick recovery, we hope, for the 357 patients who have been hospitalized and the 1,527 who are on home-based isolation and care. Private hospitals, especially in Nairobi, are reporting having received an increased number of new COVID-19 patients. And what is even more concerning is that they are comprised of more severe cases. This is according to various facilities, which also warn that Kenya's third wave of COVID-19 infections is set to peak in the next month and a half. And Zainab Ismail reports on this concerning development in a country where senior government officials are in the forefront of providing great opportunities for the virus to spread, even among some of the most vulnerable.
On Sunday, the February 28th, the country recorded one of the highest COVID-19 positivity rate in recent weeks at 9.9%. The government's data shows a rise in infections in the last 2 weeks, and now experts are warning that the recent upward trend should be a cause for concern.
We've had a positivity rate of more than 5% for the majority of the days for the last 2 weeks, which is quite worrying considering that since December, the positivity rate was below 5% from end of December all the way towards the end of February. The more the number of people getting to hospitals with serious COVID, the more it is a reflection that the infection is out there in the community and is spreading.
In a memo dated the 26th of February, signed on behalf of the Chief Medical Director at the Nairobi West Hospital, Dr. Andrew Gashi, noted that both private and public hospitals were experiencing rising numbers of confirmed COVID-19 admissions with a worrisome number of severe cases. The memo also indicates that the country's third wave is expected in the next 4 to 6 weeks.
What we can hope is that this third wave would be a low peak. It won't be a massive surge, which is what we expect because more people have immunity in the community. And hospitals in Nairobi have actually raised the flag and sounded the alarm and are saying we are now admitting more patients into ICU. We are admitting more patients into our respiratory units. This is an actual indication that something is cooking.
In mid-January, experts from the Kenya Medical Research Institute had warned of a possible virus surge in March as a result of schools reopening and the December festive season. The projections show that in the most feasible scenario, the country is likely to record at least 116 more deaths by June 1st.
What we are seeing now is a result of all the laxity, the complacency, both among the citizenry, but also the people in authority. If you look at political rallies, nobody is wearing masks, and no leader is asking people to wear masks. You go to the mosques, people have stopped observing the 1 meter, 2 meter social distancing rule. You go to most of the churches, guys are crowding. Most homes, people are not really observing this thing. So we become complacent.
The Nairobi West Hospital's memo also shows that the virus is unpredictable as there are many variants, plus there is much to be learnt. It continues to say that what is known is that the third wave and the issue of herd immunity are intertwined with the behavior of the virus. The actual extent of the virus spread remains unknown to the public, as private hospitals claim to be having high number of infections and public hospitals not testing everyone. This as the country awaits the government's next communication on containment measures in 2 weeks when the extended 3-month nationwide night curfew elapses. Zainab Ismail, NTV.
In light of these developments, concerns and questions, we seek clarity with the Ministry of Health's Principal Secretary, Susan Mochache, who joins us live in studio. Thank you for your time this evening. And just before we get into the real issue of discussion here, we've seen the concerns there with the spread of the coronavirus. And it is and can be alluded to some of these political functions that are being held as the BBI wave goes up. What's your word to politicians? Are you concerned, first of all, as a PS in the Ministry of Health?
I mean, certainly, we are still right in the middle of a pandemic. So when you see crowded, places with people not wearing masks, I mean, it gives anybody, a sleepless night. And I think the thing is to really urge the politicians to observe the protocols, because you can still have the meetings, but ensure that there's social distance, people are wearing masks. And I think at the end of the day, the burden is also on us as Kenyans. Why do we go to these rallies not wearing masks? Why do we allow ourselves to be in crowded places? I think, we have got to also appreciate that we have a responsibility as the citizens. Don't go where there are too many people. I think that is what we all need to understand. Corona is still here. The infections are still going on. And of course, if we are not going to be careful, then the numbers may go up.
Perhaps you have greater access than I do, but even as you throw it to the Kenyans, it could also help to just not have these meetings. You agree?
I would say that, life has to go on, but we must observe the protocols.
All right.
That is really what we must
do. To the
do.
vaccine landing in 27 hours or so, and I believe you'll be at the airport tomorrow. This is a date and time we have really been looking forward to faced with this pandemic. What is a rollout plan from the point it lands at 5 minutes past midnight?
Okay, first, we are very glad that the vaccine has come, at this time.
AstraZeneca.
AstraZeneca, because a month ago, it was not very clear which day the vaccines would land here. So we are certainly very delighted that we have received our first allocation from Gavi. And so, yes, at midnight, we will have 1 million doses received at JKIA. We will move them straight to our central stores.
Which is where?
Which is somewhere in Athi River. So come Wednesday, we will be busy packing the vaccines for distribution to our regional centers. And from there, they will go to the 47 counties, every part of this country. And so that we start, very progressively, we are going to have the immunization in this first week being done at just one county hospital in the counties. So that would be the level 4, the level 5 that is there. And of course, all our national referral hospitals. So that is where the vaccine will be available. But come the following week, then we'll be cascading down to facilities at the sub-county level, out into the faith-based hospitals, out also into the private hospitals, because in immunizations, we have this collaboration with all facilities in the country, and we usually give them the regular and routine vaccinations for children. And really, we are going to work around that framework and expect that no one will charge for the vaccine.
So when practically can we expect the first jab, and who will it target? Because if this is a little over 1 million vaccines, and this is the vaccine that needs 2 doses, it means it's targeting 500,000 people?
Yes, indeed. So we are targeting 500,000 people for now, because the next dose that we'll receive, or rather consignment, will be somewhere around May. And at that point, we'll be receiving an additional 4.1 million. So for now, what's going to happen, the facility is very close to Nairobi. For example, our KNH here, you'd expect Machakos, Kiambu, these closer facilities will already have received their vaccine sometime maybe on Wednesday or very early in the morning on Thursday. So I expect to see, and we expect to see, vaccination starting at the facilities as soon as the vaccines get in. So on Thursday, we shall certainly be doing the immunization of health workers in Kenyatta National Hospital. We are also looking at Mama Lucy in Nairobi.
From this Thursday?
From this Thursday. But of course, this is going to be gradually cascaded to the facilities, as I said. And this is the way that, by the way, Mark, we approached our fight against COVID. When we started, you remember, we only had 4 laboratories, doing the tests across the country. And now we are 34. By the end of March, we will be having well over 70 laboratories. So we also do not want to overwhelm the system by just bringing the vaccines and, having them everywhere. So we will gradually cascade. In terms of, the target group right now, we are really looking just at the health workers. And when we talk about the health workers, we are talking about all the people who work within a health facility ecosystem. Okay. So we'll be looking at the support staff, we'll be looking at the admin staff, anybody, and even if the security guard, everybody who's within the facility is really classified for purposes of this vaccine as part of the health workers.
Yes, we just saw some of the doctors saying that it's shrouded with a bit of darkness and no clarity in terms of how it's going to be done because they haven't been made aware. And they feel we should be in the know about this. Why is this so? Have you reached out already?
Well, being here is part of that. And to be honest, Mark, there have been, challenges of accessing the vaccine. You know that, there's a global shortage. We did not have clarity about when the vaccine will land in the country. We were very sure sometime last week. And as we have seen, with our previous experience with COVID, sometimes until you see the products, you're not very sure. So we are not, I'm sure, the messaging will be out there. Will also be coming out more aggressively in terms of communication, and we'll sensitize all the health workers. But for now, what we can say is that for all the health workers in Kenya, the vaccine is here, it is targeting you, and you should get yourself the vaccine. And
so you haven't quite already started enlisting any, and the portal, you mentioned a portal earlier.
Yes. So what we expect, and health facilities are very organized. Whoever is running a facility is interested to have all their healthcare workers, going to get, to get the vaccine. So we have a web portal. This is the www.chanjo@health.go.ke. So this is the portal that the health workers will be urged to do their registration on. And when they log in to register, of course, we'll take the basics, the name, the age, gender, any pre-existing condition. We will also be interested to know which facility is closest to them that they plan to go for the vaccine from. And so from there, that information is relayed to that facility. So by the time the health worker is getting there, their name is already in the system, and they are just basically going through the motions of confirming, going through the triage and just making sure that they are okay for the vaccine. Then they get the vaccine, they move on to a waiting area for about 15 minutes. If they are fine, then they leave the facility. So I would want to say that, health workers should not worry that we are beginning with a county, one hospital per county, because come next week, the vaccine will have already gone down to the sub-counties and, down up to the smallest level facility, at least up to a level 3 facility. So they will all have the vaccine within good reach for them.
It's a voluntary process. Is it going to be first come, first serve basis?
Yes, indeed, because it will be first come, first served. So once the vaccine is in the county, I would imagine even the facility where the vaccine will be is, the health workers working there will all want to first get the vaccine. And so it will be a voluntary process. So whenever anyone is ready to go and take the vaccine, they just go to the facility and they get the vaccine. And of course, we'll encourage pre-registration. But in the event that somebody is not able to do that, you can actually register just when you get to the facility. And so we get all your details, and then you go on and get the vaccine.
And what measures are there to ensure that the whole process is effective and they come back for the second dose in 8 weeks' time? It's voluntary. If they decide, I'm not going to take the second jab.
I mean, once and thank God these are health workers, and we are starting with them. You know that once a vaccine is said to be effective when you get the second dose after the 8 weeks, you certainly want to do that. This is about your health.
Yes.
So we don't expect that somebody will decide I won't go for the second dose. I mean, if you're not taking the vaccine, then you just opt not to take it. But once you have taken the first vaccine, you certainly must get the second dose. So what we will do, we are leveraging on technology for this. So once you've registered and we have your mobile number, we will send an alert. And, and that alert will be reminding you that, in 5 days you will be due for your second dose.
Okay.
And, 2 days too, and on the actual date you'll get that reminder.
All right.
So we will be using the ICT platform.
You mentioned from the airport there will be the rollout to the main depot, if we could call it that,
Yes.
in Athi River. Tell us about the structure that is supporting this vaccine rollout plan and the cost.
Okay, first, remember, this is not the first vaccine in the country. We do vaccination all the time. In fact, as we are doing this vaccine, the polio and measles vaccine process will be beginning shortly after that, and that will continue. So already as a country, we have got a very robust infrastructure that supports any immunization program that we run. So we are simply going to leverage on that to make sure that, we achieve the intended objective. The only difference with this one, sometimes when you're talking about the children vaccines, we have to go home to home.
Yes.
So in this case, individuals will have to go to a facility to get the vaccine. And remember, it's also those that are eligible because, for example, anybody who's under 18 is not eligible to get this vaccine.
Right.
Anybody who is pregnant should ideally not get the vaccine. And also, if anyone is allergic to eggs and chicken, then, they will not get the vaccine. And these are details which, they will give even when they are just getting into the facility to get the vaccine. So that's one. So we already have, an existing infrastructure that will be rolling out this vaccine. In fact, as we speak now, today, we had the county health workers, as well as the trainer of trainers that will be going around in class. So they've been going through a capacity building process. Today and tomorrow we'll be doing that for health workers and ICT clerks from all the 47 counties, so that the ICT class can support the system issues and the health workers will actually be doing the vaccination. Yes. And we expect that when they go back, they will cascade the training.
Yes.
But in addition to that, we'll be holding regular webinars. The training will be available online. And in fact, this is how, as a country, we've been able to quickly capacitate all our health workers to deal with COVID.
It's clear that you're going to be leveraging on existing infrastructure that we have. But, I mean, this is a virus that we are facing, and it's none like we've faced before.
True.
And it needs some special equipment, if I could call it that, put in place. So in terms of what you're supporting in the infrastructure, what has gone into making this possible, the rollout possible, and how much?
Okay, for now, let's say this. The AstraZeneca vaccine does not require, special temperatures. So the fridges that we currently have, because, immunization is part of what we do all the time. And this, the fridges are all over in these facilities. So those are good enough. What we are making sure is to give vaccines that are enough in terms of the capacity that is available in a facility. And as we move on, we are going to have to, of course, expand the infrastructure, and investments will be made towards that. So as things stand today, the total cost for phase 1 of COVID, and this one we are talking about 36 million vaccines, and that means 15 million individuals will be fully immunized. We are talking about 34 billion.
34 billion.
And yes, but now because of this Gavi support, Gavi is an international body that supports countries to get access to vaccines, at highly subsidized prices and sometimes even, on a grant basis. So for this particular intervention, Gavi has put forward a grant of 20 billion to the Kenyan government, but in kind in terms of the vaccine.
Okay.
So in turn, the government will be putting in 20% of the cost, which is 14 billion shillings. So part of that money is going to go directly to the vaccines, and some of it will now go into the other details, the communication, as you say. We will have to intensify our communication. We will have to, of course, expand the capacity within the counties in terms of the fridges, our logistics capabilities.
And
there's a segment of the funding that is targeted precisely for that.
And I'm sure you've had sleepless nights with the cloud of COVID millionaires hanging over you. But is there a document or something that can act as proof to buy the trust of Kenyans that this vaccination rollout won't be shrouded in secrecy and be exploited by some other people who are out to make money out of it? Is there something available for the public? Because this should be a public
really,
information.
I need to say yes, that of course what happened was quite unfortunate,
Yes.
you know, where people basically just tolerated some irregularities in the procurement process. But I want to assure the public that we are dealing with a global entity, Gavi. The procurement is being undertaken by UNICEF. So we are not even, you know, for this particular arrangement, we are nowhere in the procurement. So we will only just be receiving the commodities, making sure they are safe. And one of the ways, because that's also an issue, we want to minimize pilferage, if any. So we've already documented the batches. So even as we release the commodities to the counties, we will already have indicated what batches are out there. So as the market surveillance is being done, and we pick out any vaccines that are not where they're supposed to be, we'll be able to trace where we actually had delivered them. And of course, then at that point,
currently, is there anything that can be availed to the public to buy in the trust, to make sure that Kenyans, you are safe with this? We're making sure it is all going to be taken to the intended purpose.
I would want to say that, you know, to tell Kenyans that despite some of the challenges that happen in the environment we operate in, there are people, and we are there, who are committed to make sure that Kenyans are served in an equitable manner, and that there is no, you know, loss of public resources. Yeah. So they should be fully, you know, confident. And I think that for those who have got other ideas, what just happened should still be in their minds. The investigations are going on. You know, the law will catch up with them. And really, I want to assure that we've also learned, and we are putting in place the necessary safeguards that will ensure that nobody again, you know, goes against the law on matters to do with this pandemic.
You're not concerned about the efficacy of AstraZeneca because South Africa has halted the rollout of the same that we are now
No, I am not concerned about that, because Kenya still has the, you know, we don't have the new variant already, you know, within the community. So South Africa's case is different because there's a community spread of the new variant. And also remember, Johnson & Johnson is being produced in South Africa. So, you know, you'll also do what is good for your country.
So there's politics at play there.
Well, I don't know whether to call it that.
P.S. Thank you so much for your time. P.S. Susan Muchache from the Ministry of Health with some of the answers that you may be having. And this is a conversation that continues. The Ministry of Health assures us that they will avail all the officials involved in this vaccination rollout to give the answers that will be cropping up. We take a quick break here. Far spent my time. Let me make peace with my director, Jackson.
What is family? Family is a solid foundation to build on and a strong pillar to lean on. It is believing in each one of us for the betterment of all of us. Family is working together today to win together tomorrow. It is creating opportunities for a lifetime of happiness. It is knowing we are valued, respected, understood, and most of all, supported. The future is bright because you can always bank on family. Family Bank, with you for life.
New Tuzo Yogurt Cup. Size yako, bei yako.
Just got faster. Get fully locked on Airtel 4G. Enjoy our wider coverage. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Nestle Nunkid 4 helps build a strong foundation for your growing child. Nestle Nunkid 4, our best for you.
Timeless love.
Ezekiel! Ezekiel! You have to help me!
What happened?
I'm being kidnapped!
What are you doing?
Let me out of here! Let me out of here!
The car is following us! Blanca, stop it!
Let me out!
Carlos, if something bad happens to you because of me, I swear I'll die as well because I wouldn't be able to bear it.
And I'll die without your love. So I'd rather die, but at your side, Matilde.
Timeless love.
Help build a strong foundation for your growing child with Nestle Nunkid. Nestle Nunkid 4. Our best for you.
Mix of the Week in association with Airtel.
I don't charge my energy.
For the journey, for the journey. For the journey.
Bossy, bossy.
Fast just got faster. Get fully locked on Airtel 4G. Enjoy our wider coverage. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Huyu ni Tina last week. Huyu ni huyo tu Tina this week. Kwani kuliendaje? Tina alichanuliwa na the huge GoTV Max discount. What? Aka upgrade to maximum entertainment for less. Sahi Tina anaget drama kibao ina telenovelas wiki nzima. Are you sure? Na 5 shows zake local from across the continent. Now listen. Cheza Kitina. Upgrade to GoTV Max for just 890 shillings. You get maximum entertainment for less. GoTV. Love it.
New Tuzo Yogurt Cup. Size yako, bei yako.
Let's get to that BBI wave we mentioned earlier, and the enmity between Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i and Deputy President William Ruto has shown face once again today when the CS called the DP a hypocrite who is hiding in the name of Christianity. He was speaking in Trans Nzoia County, where Devolution CS Eugene Wamalwa also took a swipe at the DP. Gabriel Kudaka was on the ground with them as they popularized the Building Bridges Initiative agenda.
First, the inspection of the guard of honor at Trans Nzoia County Commissioner's office. But after this, political guards were lowered and accusations of dishonor were made in line with the battle between President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy, William Ruto, and by extension, their allies.
Murage na Tuju, wale watu ambao wako na vyeo ndani ya serikali na ndani ya chama ambao wanahujumu kazi ya rais, ni wakati wao wa kufunganya virago, wapatie rais nafasi ya kutafuta watu wengine wapya ambao wanaweza kufanya kazi na yeye.
Lakini nashangaa wakati wazingishi walipigia punguza mzigo wakiwa wa kwanza, wakatupa aibu Kenya mzima, the only county kupigia punguza mzigo. Mlienda kupata raia kuwajibika na wao wapi? Where did you do the public participation ya raia wakati mlifanya maneno ya punguza mzigo? Nyinyi mnakumbuka kuna wakati formula ilipelekwa kule Senate. Wakati ilipelekwa kule, Elgeyo Marakwet tungeongezewa pesa kidogo. Lakini wale walikataa hiyo formula, ni mpaka na senator wangu alisema kwanza watu wengine wapewe pesa, Elgeyo Marakwet wangoje.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i is among the president's key men and has been cited as among the deputy president's enemies, who is carrying out the duties DP Ruto would be executing. And his remarks appeared consistent in this narrative.
I don't have time for rabble-rousers. Watu wa kuongea maneno tu huko, kudanganya wananchi, kujifanya hapa, kupita hapa kuambia watu Bwana Yesu asifiwe, na wao ni wanafiki.
His devolution counterpart Eugene Wamalwa also threw a jab at the DP, again pointing to the divided cabinet.
Mimi nashangaa kuna watu wanasema eti hao wana support Big Four agenda lakini hawa support BBI. Mtu akikwambia hivyo jamani, haelewi the meaning of BBI.
Some politicians seized the opportunity to endorse CS Fred Matiang'i for a political seat.
Kwa hivyo sisi huyu ndiye tunamuona kutoka Kisii pale. Ndiye mkubwa wetu sasa.
Na mimi nimeona Matiang'i venye anakuja mzuri. Unajua mimi naweza pima
In Kiambu County, Jubilee Vice Chairman David Murathe spoke in a tune and tone that is also bashing of the DP.
Katiba imesema ukisakiwa na ufisadi lazima hiyo kesi ikwishe baada ya mwaka moja. Sasa kama wewe ni mfisadi, unaweza kukubali hii katiba? Si ufinyilia mpaka muda iishe.
Murathe also reiterated that a referendum was inevitable. Amid the battles at the top, many still question whether the political pronouncements and activities are primarily about the people or the politicians. Gabriel Kudaka, NTV.
Meanwhile, several aspirants in the Matungu and Kabuchai by-elections traversed the constituencies in the last day of campaigns in a bid to secure their vote in the elections slated for Thursday, the 4th of March. A number of party leaders participating in the mini-polls accompanied their candidates and urging the electorate to consider them. NTV's Zacchaeus Mosame has the details.
Contestants made rounds today in a bid to sell their manifestos in Matungu and Kabuchai constituencies. In Matungu, ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi led his brigade in drumming up support for Peter Oscar Nabolindo. Moses Wetangula did the same for Ford Kenya's Majimbo Kalasinga in Kabuchai.
Sisi wote tumulike. Mimi naomba vijana katika kila polling station muwe mnaangalia ni nani anajaribu kuonga watu kwa laini siku ya kupiga kura.
Mkipatia Oscar na Bulindo kura, stima yenye mnalia itakuja. Wakina mama, CDF, watoto wetu watasoma. Si namna hivyo? Vijana, Oscar na Bulindo atalinda.
Alex Lanya, munapigia Ruto kura. Mukipigia kura David Were, munapigia Raila Amolo Odinga. Mukipigia kura huyu Peter Oscar na Bulindo, munapigia Musalia Mudavadi. Sasa nyinyi munataka Ruto, Raila ama Musalia?
Wazee mkimaliza murudi nyumbani. Vijana mubaki mulinde kura zetu. Na mupike doria. Up and down the road. Mukipata wale watu wanagawana pesa kwa watu, chukua hiyo pesa ni mali yenu.
Aspirants on a United Democratic Alliance ticket, a party linked to Deputy President William Ruto, equally gave their respective backing. Evans Kakai of Kabuchai was accompanied by several MPs from Bungoma, while Malindi MP Aisha Juma, Kapseret MP Oscar Sudi, and former sports CS Rashid Chesa escorted Alex Lanya in Matungu.
Hapa Matungu tunataka tumpe nguvu zaidi na tumpe mbunge ambaye atafanya naye kazi.
Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya, on the other hand, accompanied the former MP David Were in seeking for votes in Halaba ward.
Kama wewe hujajipanga ni shauri yako. Ni kama natumia pesa account ziulete wale wa kuangalia pesa wanajua. Wewe kama umeshindwa hiyo ni ya
Matungu constituency with 62,386 registered voters has attracted 14 candidates, while Kabuchai with 57,476 electorates has drawn 8 candidates. Zacchaeus Masame, NTV.
Nataka police ensure kwamba tutakuwa na.
For 4 students in Kiambu County, their decision to quench their thirst has put their future on the rocks. The underage group of high school students were found indulging in alcohol by the roadside by police officers who apprehended them for underage drinking. Gina Kirori has that story.
A seemingly earnest vow from this Form 2 student from Gitithia Secondary School in Limuru. What started as being sent home for a lack of fees turned into one for the road for her and her friends, one that would end in a regretful decision. The group of 4 students, 3 girls and 1 boy, were found drinking by the roadside. These empty bottles of liquor proved to be one too many for them. If this scene of an officer escorting one of the girls to the side to heave the contents of what she had just consumed is anything to go by. 3 other boys are said to have been illegally drinking with the 4 by the roadside, but they escaped when police officers tried to apprehend them. Among the items found were home clothes in some of the students' bags. The students are being held at Kamaridu police station, awaiting their parents who have been summoned to pick them up. Efforts to get a comment from the administration at Gitithia Secondary School were unsuccessful as we tried to verify the circumstances that led them to being sent away from school. Gena Kirari, NTV.
A young man was in a neighbor's farm in Gatundu North harvesting macadamia nuts. Next, there was a group of men who pounced on him and began to beat him up as they accused him of being a thief. The men, who are actually Nyumba Kumi officials, frog-marched the 17-year-old who was helplessly receiving the beating to his home, allegedly to burn him as his family watched. The incident didn't get to the burning part. The boy's family tried to save him, but he died. And they insist he was not a thief, but had been hired to harvest the nuts. Nayoma Sampao reports on the drama and the details around it.
The clobbering that 17-year-old Peter Ndungu was subjected to is a kind which for many is hard to watch.
Alikuwa amepigwa mwili yake yote. Hakuna mahali alikuwa amechapwa, mpaka mguu huku. Mpaka hapa makojo hakuwa akitoa makojo, alikuwa makojo yake ikitokea hapa. Juu alikuwa wamempiga mpaka huko tumbo yake kabisa.
The teenager was allegedly accosted by Nyumba Kumi officials who said he was stealing macadamia nuts from a nearby farm, a story which the family denies. They say the neighbor's son had hired him to harvest the nuts, and as he did that, the officials arrived and descended on him, accusing him of not only stealing the nuts, but also being part of a gang that has been stealing chicken in the neighborhood.
Wanataka kumchoma. Walikuwa wamemchapa kabisa wakiwa saidi ile ingine, sasa wakamleta hapa kwao. Akiwaja washuhudia kijana yake akikufa, akichomwa. Walikuwa wamemweka kwa hii side.
His family members came to his rescue, but it was too late. The clobbering ended fatally. This made the family and some neighbors angry, and they were ready to take it out on the officials. Some sought to calm the situation.
Tuweze kutulia. Mungu yuko na Mungu yuko na nguvu, na tena tuko na serikali yetu na itafuatilia hiyo maneno na yote itakuwa sawa. Kwa hivyo nawasihi tuweze kutulia tafadhali. Tutulie kabisa. Tusifanye jambo kama lile lilifanywa, kwa sababu tukifanya jambo ingine hiyo ni kuwekelea makosa juu ya makosa ingine.
The family has been forced to cancel burial plans as they await the autopsy results.
Nataka haki ya mtoto wangu ifanyike. Wale wamemuua wa nini? Wachukulia hatua.
Nayoma Sampao, NTV.
And the pictures there of the beating the 17-year-old was receiving were too graphic to show. Dan Mwangi, actually, you went through that. It wasn't warranted.
No, I mean, it was disheartening. It's actually disturbing to watch those videos. But that said, we'll have some less disturbing news on business where we'll make sense of all that's making sense after this break.
We keep running faster and faster. I don't know what we're after yet. You must be being alone and I got you on my mind. You're always
New Tuzo Yogurt Cup. Size yako, bei yako.
Kijani Ridge is Tatu City's premier neighborhood, offering a 1.5-acre fully serviced plot in a controlled development. The plots overlook a beautiful dam with natural green spaces. Kijani Ridge is a walking distance from Nova Pioneer and Crawford International Schools. Families are already moved in and more homes are under construction. Contact us for daily site visits and join us for our mega open weekend on 6th and 7th March.
Beat sensitivity pain fast with Sensodyne Rapid Action for clinically proven relief in 60 seconds.
Nestle Nunkid 4 helps build a strong foundation for your growing child. Nestle Nunkid 4, our best for you.
Welcome to our new office. Wonderful sight. Just imagine 1, 2, 3, 4. This is where the parking is, and then the warehouse front door here, the reception here, and the fridges here, the lorry's entrance there, and their exit there. One way only. What is it?
So where is the building?
Fast, stress-free construction. Get your factory-made buildings in 10 weeks with Southbuild. Order yours now. Southbuild, a quality building solution from MRM.
Good evening and welcome to NTV Business. I'm Dan Mwangi. Now, the National Treasury today tabled its case before the National Assembly Budget and Appropriations Committee on both the supplementary budget estimates and the budget policy statement. Supplementary budget estimates propose a 75.1 billion shillings increase in the expenditure for the current financial year, bumping up the total expenditure to 1.96 trillion shillings. The Treasury and the Budget Committee were also looking into the budget policy statement, which was last week approved by the Cabinet for transmission to Parliament. Of note is that the budget policy statement includes an upward revision of allocation to county governments to 370 billion shillings. Kenya's automotive policy, which was drafted in 2019, is in the final stages of approval and could soon begin to recast the automotive landscape in the country. According to the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Enterprise Development, the policy's priority focus will be to cut back on the volume of imported used vehicles and improvement of the operating environment for local assembly. On average, Kenya imports 8,228 full-built units per annum, 85% of which are used vehicles. The automotive industry has been identified as one of the anchor pillars of Kenya's manufacturing industry in the government-led Big Four agenda.
Government has prioritized the local assembly of motor vehicles as means of creating jobs and enhancing technology transfer. Our country has been facing a challenge of influx of second-hand vehicles. And one of the reasons when we ask Kenyans why they are going for second-hand vehicles, they said it's because of affordability.
The reopening of trade channels adversely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic and the conclusion of negotiations on fisheries subsidies are some of the key priorities that the new Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, has outlined. Alex Mwangi reports on Ngozi's first day in office.
Owing to COVID-19 safety protocols, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala's arrival at the World Trade Organization's headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland, was a low-key affair in terms of the number of people involved, but whose significance globally was a grand affair.
We have a lot of work to do. so I feel ready to go.
The highly qualified Dr. Okonjo Iweala is the first African and first woman Director General of the WTO.
I remain honored and humbled by the confidence members have placed in me. I'll bring all my knowledge, passion, experience, and persistence to the task at hand, reforming the organization and achieving results.
Dr. Okonjo Iweala was confirmed to the post on February 15th this year, following consensus by the WTO's General Council.
This is the first time I see the sign, Director General.
She finds a full entree at the trade body, whose operations had been severely hampered by sabotage from the administration of the former US President Donald Trump.
We need to prioritize action on COVID-19, both for the immediate and longer term, and focus on completing the fisheries subsidies negotiations before the middle of the year. We must agree the roadmap for reform of the dispute settlement system and prepare a work program to achieve this, which can be endorsed at MC12.
The new Director General has the arduous task of restoring confidence the world over in the effectiveness of the multilateral trading system, even as protectionism among nations becomes rife.
It cannot be business as usual. We have to change our approach from debate and rounds of questions to delivering results.
Dr. Okonjo Iweala's term expires on 31st August 2025.
Thank you so much and congratulations.
Alex Mwangi, NTV.
Financial services provider Britam has announced a business realignment process that will result in the sending home of some of its staff. According to a press statement, employees in the affected roles and positions are expected to exit the business under a voluntary early retirement program. The organizational restructuring is expected to end before the third quarter of the year. The restructuring comes soon after changes in the executive suite of the company. Tavaziva Madzinga replaced the long-serving Benson Wairegi as Group MD, while Mohamed Karama replaced Walter Hollas as the chair. Both their terms commenced on the 1st of this month. Business is done, so am I. Good night.
Nestle Kid 4 helps build a strong foundation for your growing child. Nestle Kid 4, our best for you.
You have worked so hard. Now your project is nearing completion. You now need to crown your labor. For over 50 years, East African Cables has been a premier manufacturer of high-quality electrical cables, manufactured to international standards for the region, giving you the reliability and safety you deserve. We manufacture an extensive range of power cables for applications in domestic and industrial wiring. Our work speaks for itself. Get in touch. Let's talk cables. Kumbuka, wire si wire. East African Cables, connecting lives.
This looks different.
It is. See for yourself.
Okay, so it's a photo.
Look closer. Photos within photos.
What about video?
8K video. Beyond cinema quality.
So...
You can pull portrait quality photos straight from video.
But will it last the whole trip?
Battery for the whole trip and the way back.
This is different.
Told you.
New Tuzo Yogurt Cup. Size yako, bei yako.
At Kenya Revenue Authority, we believe in second chances. Take advantage of the voluntary tax disclosure program, which is valid up to 31st December 2023. Apply online on itax.kra.go.ke. Kenya Revenue Authority, tulipe ushuru tujitegemee.
Molfix. Let's see what they're developing right now.
Molfix pants with anatomic fit technology. New Molfix pants, an invention from babies for babies.
You should also try Molfix.
New Tuzo Yogurt Cup. Size yako, bei yako.
From far with you. I even gifted you a magnificent house. Rosa, it's the thought that counts. Please help me.
When it comes to fever, you need to be both. Panadol Baby and Infant starts to work on fever in 15 minutes and is gentle on the tummy. Panadol Baby and Infant, tough on fever, gentle on your child.
New Tuzo Yogurt Cup. Size yako, bei yako.
Let's briefly look at the developments from the courts today. The trial of Lawrence Njoroge Warunge, the university student who owned up to killing 5 people in Kiambu County on January 5th, once again failed to kick off today. This was after prosecution counsel Christine Mbevi told a magistrate at the Kiambu Law Courts that the accused is still mentally unfit to stand trial and is still under medication. This is just one of the court stories by Leila Mohammed.
Lawrence Warunge, a 22-year-old IT student, is accused of killing his 4 family members and a farmhand in Kiamba, which essentially is not a prosecution is seeking more time, preferably March 15th, when the court is expected to be updated on his mental status. Kiambu Chief Magistrate Patricia Gishohi granted this request while ordering that the suspect be presented at Mathare Hospital on March 5th for review. He is being held at the Industrial Area Remand Prison and has no legal representation. A medical assessment report presented in court on January 26th showed Lawrence has a history of smoking marijuana and drinking alcohol and has paranoid delusions. The report further noted that Lawrence is suffering from induced psychosis, a severe mental disorder in which thought and emotions are so impaired that contact is lost with external reality. Separately, Simon Mushiri, 22, has been released on a cash bail of 200,000 shillings by a Kiambu court after he posted on his Facebook page on February 27th that if he had a gun, he would kill President Uhuru Kenyatta. The Anti-Corruption Court has ordered former Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko to be produced in court tomorrow for the mention of his 14 million shilling graft case. Trial Magistrate Peter Oko issued the order after the prosecution sought to have a production order issued to have Sonko availed in court by OSC ATPU. Sonko, who is currently admitted at Nairobi Hospital, skipped a court hearing earlier today. On Friday, Sonko's lawyers had told the court he needs to travel to South Africa for hip replacement surgery. Meanwhile, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions has said it has new evidence in the case in which Garissa Governor Ali Korane and 4 county officers are accused of economic crimes. The matter, which was coming up for pre-trial hearing on Monday, has been adjourned to April 19, 2021 to allow the prosecution provide the evidence to the defense. In 2020, Governor Korane was charged with alleged embezzlement of a World Bank grant worth 233 million shillings. He and 4 others were charged with conspiracy to commit an offence of economic crime, willful failure to comply with laws related to management of funds, and misappropriation of public funds. Leila Mohammed, NTV.
Still from the courts internationally, South Africa's top court is set to hear a contempt case against former President Jacob Zuma on March 25th. Zuma, who has been accused of enabling runaway graft during his tenure in office, defied a constitutional court order to testify before a panel investigating graft allegations. The commission last week asked the court to jail Zuma for 2 years as he intentionally and unlawfully failed to appear last month, as well as failing to present any affidavits. Through a statement, the court ordered for Zuma, to file the required affidavits by March 8th, as the contempt hearing is scheduled to take place on a virtual platform. Zuma, who came to power in 2009, was forced to resign in 2018 over graft scandals involving an Indian business family, the Guptas, who won lucrative contracts with state companies and allegedly had high influence in choosing cabinet ministers. Further, former French President Nicolas Sarkozy has been sentenced to 3 years in jail after being found guilty of corruption after a court in Paris convicted him for trying to illegally influence a judge during his time in office. The sentence includes 2 suspended years, which means it is unlikely that Sarkozy will physically go to prison. He is almost certain to appeal and remains free with no arrest warrant issued. 66-year-old Sarkozy's tenure was from 2007 to 2012, and it is alleged that he has a strong footing with many. He is scheduled to face a second trial over accusations of fraudulently overspending in his failed 2012 re-election bid on March 17th. And it's now time to turn to sports, and I hope there's no graft stories from there.
Well, luckily there's none, Mark Masai, but hey, don't touch that dial. We've got plenty coming up after this. That's right. Welcome to NTV Sport. I'm Watson Karuma. Now, the local-based Harambee Stars players held a training session this evening ahead of their 2021 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers against Egypt and Togo set for this month. 19 players have been called up for from the Bet King Premier League club for the forthcoming assignment, as well as 3 friendlies. Wazito players in Peter Odhiambo, Johnston Omurwa and Kevin Kimani were not part of today's training, as they were involved in a Premier League tie against Zoo Kericho. Wazito won that match 1-0. Kenneth Muguna and John Mashari of Gor Mahia will join the team later due to their midweek FKFPL match against Kakamega Homeboys. Kenya plays South Sudan in their first friendly on the 13th before hosting Tanzania in 2 friendlies.
I'm happy, first of all, because the league is still getting competitive every other day. But I see the players are getting sharper every day. I mean, when you look at the speed, which is major concern, is coming up well. I mean, the way they are playing on the balls is very fast, and the competitiveness is coming up well. And I'm also happy because when you look at our top scorers scoring week in, week out, it encourages us that even from the start of the local league, we can have guys who are scoring consistently, because this has been a major undoing for us.